Count Dooku versus Mace Windu, Sith Lord versus Jedi Master. Who would win in a battle? The answer is Mace Windu, and I'm going to explain why. A few things to consider. First of all, this is a really good matchup, an even matchup, I would say. They're both each other's peers, and they're both on par with each other, both as Force users as well as lightsaber duelists. But what it really comes down to is their unique styles of combat.
I've been looking forward to this.
Start with Count Dooku. Count Dooku uses Form 2, which is Makashi. Makashi is an elegant form of combat, which relies solely on precision, kind of like fencing. It's not an aggressive style, but it's still offensively sound. Case in point, Obi-Wan always struggled against Dooku every time they fought, despite him being a master of Form 3, Sorsu, which is a combat style that is primarily reliable on defense. Interesting thing to note about Count Dooku though, despite him being a Sith Lord who can use Sith abilities like Force Lightning, his power doesn't draw heavily from the dark side of the Force. Keep that in mind.
I am going to end this once and for all.
Now let's talk about Mace Windu. Mace Windu is a user of Form 7 and he created his own style called Vaapad. Vaapad and Form 7 as a whole is the most aggressive style of combat that allows the users to draw from emotions like anger and passion. And if you know your Star Wars lore, you know that anger and passion are paths to the dark side. Essentially, Mace Windu is allowing himself to dabble in the dark side of the Force just as long as he's able to control himself. This combat style is exactly why he was able to overpower Palpatine all without breaking a sweat. Now, a lot of Star Wars fans have it confused that Vaapad only works as long as the opponent is strong with the dark side of the Force or has a dark nature around them. And because of that, a lot of Star Wars fans believe that Mace Windu wouldn't beat Count Dooku simply because Dooku doesn't draw heavily from the dark side of the Force, so Vaapad wouldn't work against him. But here's the thing about that. One, Count Dooku turned to the dark side for political reasons, not for emotional or spiritual reasons. And two, Vaapad is strictly internal. And remember, the Jedi repress their emotions rather than suppress them. Vaapad basically allows Mace Windu to open up the chakra gates like Mike Guy. Thirdly, Count Dooku's combat style is not proficient against aggressive forms of combat. At his peak, and as a user of Form 5, which is a combination of Forms 2 and 3, Anakin Skywalker was able to easily defeat Count Dooku. But here's the biggest reason why Mace Windu would have the upper hand against Count Dooku. Mace Windu has the ability to sense the weakest point of his opponents, what he calls shatter point. So not only is Mace Windu proficient in the most aggressive form of combat that allows him to tap into the dark side of the Force and control his dark nature, but he can also sense when you're about to get weak and crack through that to beat you. Yeah, pat Count Dooku up.